Are you sick and tired of making student loan payments every month? Well, here's a strategy to get them all paid off and out of your life for good. Hello and welcome to Practical Personal Finance, where you get the information you need to understand and succeed with money. Today, I'm going to tell you about the strategy I used to pay off over $175,000 in student loans and become debt-free in less than 2.5 years. There are 5 steps in this process, and I'll be going in depth so you know exactly how to apply each of those 5 steps to your situation. I figure if it worked for me, it might work for you as well. Let's start things off with step number 1, get organized. If you're ready to get serious about paying off your student loans, the first few things you should do are make a list of all your student loans, make sure your information is up to date on all of your accounts, and check out your credit report for any irregularities. Let's start with the list. Get out a piece of paper and a pen and start listing out every single student loan you have, including both federal and private student loans. Make sure this list includes the total balance or amount you owe the lender and the interest rate for each loan. I personally think it's important to write all of this out by hand rather than typing it into your phone or into Google Docs because to me it just feels more real when it exists in a physical form. I'm just old school like that. When I first started, my list had 6 different loans on it from 6 different lenders. Next, let's talk about making sure your information is up to date on all of your accounts. When is the last time you logged into your student loan accounts just to check on everything? If you have auto pay turned on, it's probably been a while. I was guilty of this too. While you're in there checking on your loan balance and interest rate, take a moment to make sure your contact information is correct, including your email, phone number, and mailing address. At the end of the year, you're going to get a tax form called a 1098-E that tells you how much interest you paid on your student loans. Student loan interest paid is tax deductible, and depending on your tax bracket, it could save you $500 or more come tax time. In some cases, the only way you get that form is if your contact information is accurate. So do yourself a favor and make sure that it is. Once you've got your list and your account information is all up to date, I would suggest checking your credit report for any loans you may have forgotten about. There are 2 ways to do this. First, you can get a copy of your credit report for free at annualcreditreport.com. The Annual Credit Report website looks really shoddy, but it's legit. If you have any doubts, I'll leave a link down below to the FTC official government website where you can read about the free service. Alternatively, you can create a free account with Credit Karma, which allows you to monitor your credit report on a more regular basis. If there are any loans in your credit report that are absent from your checklist, it's time to add them. If it's an account you didn't know about, you've got some homework to do to find out what's been going on. And one more tip for this part. There's a certain type of student loan called a Parent Plus loan. This is a loan that your parents can take out in their name to pay for your education. My parents took a few of these out to pay for my education, but it was agreed that I would be responsible for paying them once I graduated. These loans won't appear in your credit report because they're not in your name. You can either get them into your name by refinancing, or you can come up with a plan where you pay your parents and they pay the loans. Regardless of how you do it, don't sleep on these Parent Plus loans. They can sneak up on you. After you get everything organized, one more thing I'd suggest is to set a realistic goal for yourself. Look at your total amount due. Make an honest estimate of how much you can afford to pay per month, and do the math to figure out how many months this is going to take you. I started out with about $175,000 in student loans, and I was ready to commit to paying $3,500 per month from the very beginning. Some quick math told me it would take 50 months to get the job done. Having a sense of what you're setting out to do and how long it's going to take will help you get into the proper mindset for taking on this challenge. You need to know exactly what you're up against and roughly how long the journey is going to take. In the end, my wife and I got so intense about becoming debt-free that we finished in just 26 months. Attaching some numbers to the equation is what allowed us to measure our progress and stay on track over a long period of time. you would be wise to do the same. Step number 2 is to refinance and consolidate. If you're hearing these terms and you're not sure exactly what they mean, let me break it down for you. When you're refinancing a loan, you're essentially getting a new loan and then immediately using the money to pay off an old loan. You're just moving your debt from one lender to another. The advantage to refinancing, and the primary reason people do it, is because the interest rate on the new loan is lower than the interest rate on the old loan. That could mean less interest fees, lower loan payments, and maybe even a shorter repayment term. Consolidation is just like refinancing, but instead of starting with one loan and ending up with one loan, you're starting with 2 or more loans and ending up with one loan. Consolidation is pretty common with student loans because a lot of people take out a new loan every semester while they're in school. And rather than making 8 different small loan payments every month after graduating, you can consolidate and instead have one large loan payment every month. It makes things a little bit easier to manage. So remember those Parent Plus loans I mentioned earlier? The ones my mother took out for my education had crazy high interest rates. And because they were in her name, I couldn't even deduct the interest fees on my tax returns. So what did I do? I consolidated those Parent Plus loans and got them into my name, with a much lower interest rate. If you're considering this option, I personally used SoFi and had a positive experience. If you'd like to give them a try, use the referral link down below and you'll receive $300 when your loan is funded. And I'll get some cash as well for recommending them to you. Parent Plus loans aside, if any of your loans have an interest rate of 5% or higher, then I would suggest looking into a refinance or a consolidation, especially if they also have a balance of over $10,000. Doing so at the outset of your debt-free journey could very well save you thousands of dollars in interest fees and shave months off of your timeline. One other loan type to be aware of is FFEL or FEL program loans that are from 2010 or earlier. These loans come in 2 flavors, federal and private. The private version of these loans are insured by the federal government but owned by a private lender. If you've got private FEL program loans, then I would suggest looking into a direct consolidation loan with the federal government. If you do it now, around the time this video is released, you'll save on some interest fees due to COVID stimulus legislation. I made an entire video dedicated to this specific topic where I dive deep into the FEL loan program, which ended in 2010. I'll leave a link down below for those of you who are still carrying those loans. Step 3 in the process is to come up with a strategy to accelerate your payoff plan. For this part, there are 3 possible options: increase your income, decrease your expenses, or do both. First, let's talk about increasing your income. There are a whole bunch of different ways you can do this. It could be as simple as picking up some extra shifts or extra hours at your job. Or maybe you start working nights at a second job. If you have a car, delivering food is pretty low-hanging fruit and you can get started pretty quickly. Or maybe you have a certain skill or passion that you can monetize and start your own small business on the side. Doing so might take a little bit longer to get up and running, but it'll probably be the most rewarding and profitable in the long run. When it comes to decreasing your expenses, it all begins with a monthly budget. I'm talking about taking the time at the beginning of every month to make a plan for how you're going to spend every dollar of your income. Once you have that plan down on paper, or in a spreadsheet, or in an app, you can start to work the numbers. You'll be able to decide how much you're going to spend on groceries and how much you're going to spend eating out at restaurants in the coming month. Variable expenses like those can be changed in an instant, and you can save hundreds of dollars per month by doing so. Then there are the fixed expenses, like rent and car insurance. You might not be able to change these next month, but when your auto policy or your rental lease is up, you can always shop around for a better deal. If you could become debt-free 3 months sooner by moving to a smaller apartment, would you? I might. Whether you choose to focus on increasing your income, decreasing your expenses, or some combination of both, you're going to put extra cash in your pocket that you can then allocate toward your debts. My wife Michelle and I chose to be ultra aggressive with our strategy. I terminated my commercial office lease and worked from home. That freed up $1,500 per month immediately. Michelle landed a new job which doubled her salary, and we moved to a new city 1,000 miles away so she could take it. We both worked as many hours as we possibly could to earn as much extra income as we possibly could. In the end, we were debt-free 2 full years before we expected to be. You can do this sort of stuff too. Step 4 is to knock out any small debts quickly by using a debt payoff method called the debt snowball. What qualifies as a small debt is up to you. I'd call anything close to or under $10,000 a small debt for the purposes of this video and this process. The debt snowball method is all about getting your smallest loans paid off first, because doing so will give you a sense of accomplishment and momentum. Here's how it works. Once you decide which of your debts are small debts, you put them in order from smallest to largest in terms of the total balance. You pay minimum payments on all of your loans, and you take whatever additional cash you can come up with to pay extra on the smallest debt. Once that one's knocked out, you move on to the next one, and then the next one, so on down the list, until you're done with your small debts. Step 5, the final step, is to pay off your large debts by using a different debt payoff method called the debt avalanche. Again, it's up to you what qualifies as a small debt and what qualifies as a large debt. For me, anything over $10,000 is large. The debt avalanche method works just like the debt snowball method, except instead of paying extra on the loan with the smallest balance first, you're instead paying extra on the loan with the highest interest rate first. If you paid off your smallest loans first and got them out of the way, you already have some momentum and some confidence. You've invested yourself, and you know you can do this. Now it's time to let the math take over. The debt you have with the highest interest rate is the debt that's costing you the most every month, dollar for dollar. Paying that debt first is mathematically the fastest way to become debt-free. Would have been nice if they taught you this stuff in college, am I right? If you're in the middle of paying off your student loans and want to talk through your strategy, or maybe just hear some words of encouragement, I've recently launched the Practical Personal Finance Discord server. If you're not familiar with Discord, it's an app that combines all the best parts of internet forums and group texts, and you're invited to join the conversation. I'm on Discord every day chatting with people just like you, helping them defeat student loan debt once and for all. The link to join is down below. How much student loan debt stands between you and debt freedom? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to hear the story of how I paid off over $175,000 of student loans and became debt-free in just 26 months, then click right here. And if you'd like to show your support for my channel, click right here to subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Andrew Shear, and I'll see you next time.